Hey everybody, it's Tom again. Today we're going to do part 2 of Crazy on You. One of my first videos I posted on the channel was the intro to this song, which is in itself a pretty involved thing to learn. So we did a whole video just on that intro, which if I can figure out my YouTube stuff, should be appearing on screen right about now with a link. But we're going to pick up the song today from where the intro ends into the fast acoustic part. And this acoustic guitar part carries on throughout the entire rest of the song. There's acoustic guitar under the whole thing. There's also lead guitar and a harmonized guitar for that. And there's an additional guitar that just plays the big heavy riff underneath the double guitar thing in the solo. So primarily 2 guitars with a couple of supporting guitars in the studio. So what happens here? Well, we can hear it. So it's a little bit quiet on my desktop there, but what we've got is A minor going 1 and a 2 and a 3 and then we're going to go 4 and we're going to hit the open as we're leaving A minor on the way to F, and this is featured in every time they change to that. Now that F, also notice it lands on the end of a bar. There's our first shot on F, is on the end of beat 4, and then it carries over. We don't play the 1 on the next bar, but we do still fill up the rest of that beat. And let's see, notice there is no open string smash on the way back to A minor. Honestly, this could just be because it's an easier thing to go back to A minor than to deploy out to a bar chord, but that's how the song was obviously written and eventually recorded. What happens after A minor F the first time, we go A minor F and then a quick step to G before we return to the start of the 2 bars. So this here that I've highlighted, that's the, I guess you'd say, the main acoustic part under the electric riff. This continues on until we need to resolve out of that riff. So here comes, say, from bar 25. Lost that as I was reading it there for a sec, but we hit directly from A minor to a G, and I did it again there. But what happens is we hit G, we use the F as not a stepping stone, well, a stepping stone to itself, as a stepping stone on that final bar in final beat in bar 31 before we move into an entirely different chord progression. So that ending there, there's our bit. Now when the verse comes in, this of course where the vocals enter. We have another part, but first we should step back and take a look at what the electric guitar does underneath that intro, because this is, I like to call these big dumb riffs. It's a riff that you can kind of hear once and it defines the whole song for you. Let's watch it come in. And then it cuts out. So really all this riff does is mirrors the chord progression. A, then a melody, then F. And the F holds, a quick step on G for a beat, back to A, da 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 da, F, G, A, da 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 da, G, da 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 da, F, da 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 da, G, and cuts short here as the band is about to return to the verse. So really with this one, I mean, all you got to do is place your fingers so that you're not chasing it around with one finger and sounding scratchy. 3, 2, and 1. And fingers 3, 2, and 1 can totally just cover that. Don't even need to move left or right to cover that. So let's get back to that acoustic guitar for a sec. We'll be trading back and forth a little bit here, because the song has all that. We get to the verse, we got this cool progression where we're going A minor, and except for this first bar, we're going to be going still like we were in the first verse, or in the first acoustic riff. There, I've gone from A minor to C over G, down to D minor, to an E7. And it looks like a little thing here. They change from E7 to another E7. Just basically taking the ring finger out, changing one of the extra E's into what's now an extra D. Still an E7 chord altogether. So A minor, straight to the I guess the proper E minor, the one they were, or E7, the one they were trying to get to here. So that probably is the intended chord. Then we get this really cool thing happening in the right before the pre-chorus, I guess the end of the verse, or a little gap between verse and pre-chorus. The acoustic guitar just goes, that's an A minor twice, and then you move it up just the fretted notes. So these three notes that technically are an A minor triad now become a B minor triad, but we've still got A as the bass note, so it's B minor over A. We've got E in the high note, which kind of makes it like B minor add 4 over A, something in that vein. So we got, and then we just wait. What are we waiting for? We're waiting for the electric guitar to do this cool thing here. Now, if you're trying to fit everything on one guitar, this is possible to do. We can, let's get a nice tone here. But you got to be able to hustle it up there. Now, just to talk about this riff that we see, we've just gone A minor to B minor over A. We're going to get over here, and we want to envision holding a kind of a D chord here. I'm going to flatten my finger across the 14th fret on the 3 smallest strings. I'm going to grab with my middle finger B string 15. So that's just a D. Now, if I can reach my pinky to 17 on the small string, and then to 17 on the B string, I've got the whole move. It's really just a D with some pull-offs, but that can be hard to spot when the tab looks like this. Let's hear that come in. Oh, maybe from over here. To the chorus. Now that pre-chorus, we just saw the guitar riff here, the electric riff that is. We're kind of doing shots on the off beats. And hitting these nice sort of sixth harmonies or voicings of intervals, going from the E up to the A, and then this last one goes to a G sharp, which kind of has that leading tone effect that makes us want to hear A in the riff that comes up next. Now, if we get back to the acoustic guitar part there, we're still in the pre-chorus. You're just seeing those funky off shots, but now we're going to go on the acoustic guitar. Ooh, wrong chord there. D minor, E minor, C over G, F, D minor for a whole bar, E7 for a whole bar. And then on into the chorus again. Now, it's classic rock, so we are probably not out of riffs here. There's going to be a bridge later on, but first we have to repeat the verse along with that and the high melody on the electric guitar. There's the pre-chorus again. Whoop. Nothing left to do at night. So we arrive at the chorus again. This is still all the same. We're just running through the motions of the song at this point. So we need something different to happen if the song is to go on much longer and be relevant. So what happens is something nice and dramatic. We get a key change. Hold on that chord, then for the most part, we're on a C sharp minor and a D. There's B minor and A. Chorus. So the bridge part here, we've got just kind of a little lead guitar melody that goes under this too. We started on an F sharp minor, which is the key change, but then most of it stays away from that chord. We're just on these two D and C sharp chords in the middle. Then we have a rundown at the end going B minor to A, wind things all the way back up. E is a chord, of course, that resolves really beautifully to A. It's the 5 chord in major format in that key. So I think we have a couple lead guitar things to look at next. We got to go and look at what's happening underneath this bridge. We got lead guitar 1 is just doing sort of the funky rhythm shots. We're actually just taking those two chords, C sharp and minor and D, there we have another little bit. This is similar to what we saw in the chorus. We're still around that D chord, but we're not doing the high string really. But we are trying to hammer on that quick one. I'm looking at this right here. And then we got to reach out to 19. But up to here, I was pointing out that we've got just we are reflecting the chords that are going on, but when it gets to the D and C sharp part that repeats on the acoustic guitar, we kind of move those grips up. D, D, C sharp, D again, C sharp again, here's D, and then finally it goes to a B minor, which they're showing like this. And then we got this one, these notes kind of feel like we're just messing around with the A and the E chord, but they don't strike me as particularly the same as either chord. These might just be some cool shots that they worked out as they jammed the song as it was being constructed. I think we have lead guitar or additional guitar somewhere in here doing something. Do 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 do. That might come later on though, because I'm not seeing it. So back to the lead guitar. Let's press on. Oh yeah, there's the part I was thinking of after the solo. So we're coming out of here. Ooh, missed it a little bit there. We're on the main riff, of course. Okay, then we get to verse 3. So they're doing that sneaky shots on the offbeat thing again, but we're still kind of doing the chord progression. Here's kind of a funky way to do it, but A minor. Which A minor kind of has some intersection with the C chord, and those first two chords are A minor and C over G. So we're going A minor, C over G. Then we got a little shot there, but then it's D minor, the 6 and 7 here. These guys would be at home in a D minor chord, which is in that bar. And then we're going to do another brief shot here. D just before we grab these notes here, which constitute an E7, which is what our whole progression does on the acoustic guitar. So we're going A minor, C over G on the acoustic, D minor, E. Now this part on its own sounds a little bit odd when there's nothing backing it, but if we put it back in context here, I think I missed this 15-13 thing up here, but that's just the tritone from an E7. It's all E7 here. And finally, after the next chorus, we get to the guitar solo. And the guitar solo it's not really a shredder. It's more of a harmony thing. We're going to hear lead guitar 1 and 2 playing same rhythm but different notes. Really, the classic way to do harmonies on guitars like that. I missed my beat there. Let's do that one more time. There it is. Whoops. And do that again. Tricky thing to notice in here, I didn't notice this till I just played it, it's a lot of half step bends. We have the possibility to sound foolish going over by half a step, because this 19 here only needs to bend up to 20. 21 would put us kind of comically out of key. Here's a half. Oh. better. Let's see what that other guitar is doing here. So we know it's playing the same melody. Let's just try it on this string. Now that one has different pattern of bending. We can see there we've got more whole step bends, particularly in these last notes. This is just to do with what notes we're harmonizing against the other note. So no matter whether we're bending it or just going to play some fret and getting the note manually, the two notes that these guitars combine to make still have to do something that's in the key of A minor, or else it's going to sound like kind of like trash. So here, let's take the loop off. I want to take one more crack at that main solo, and then we'll continue on. Missed that one a little bit there at the very end. I forgot to grab up to 19. But I like this interlude. Honestly, this feels more like a solo than the harmony part. But we do have a cool melody here. Let's just check if it's harmonized. It's not. This guitar, the other lead guitar, goes back to doing rhythmic shots here. So we've got just a single voice on lead guitar here. And this move, this was the same move as earlier. But I biffed it. Let's go from here. Oh no. There we go. Now, this part here, if I'm not mistaken, we are doing this all over an E. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is a different pre-chorus than we've seen so far in the song. We are all over an E, but the E on the acoustic here is doing a rise up thing. We're keeping the open E strings present, and we're starting on an E grip. Then we're moving over to an F sharp. Ooh, we're leaving the D string open too, so. Then to I guess a G, A, to a B minor, to a C sharp minor, to a D, to another E. So all of that is happening. Technically the chord name is still something over E, or we could just refer to it as E with melodies inside. And then the lead guitar is basically doing shell voicings here for chords. But it's changing less frequently than the other ones. We end up basically with kind of an off-kilter, interesting. that's not even the acoustic guitar. Oh yeah, this is the acoustic guitar. I'm getting myself mixed up here. Now, cool thing here is after all that, it's just the chorus and it's done. There's really nothing else to talk about in this song, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out the video on the intro to the song. It's a whole separate thing that requires separate explaining. But like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, make requests, message me and ask for lessons. Be my friend. Have a good day.